All right, it's time for today's interactive read aloud, and today we're going to be reading our last gingerbread book called The Gingerbread Baby. Today's story was written and illustrated by Jan Brett. Jan Brett is an amazing artist. I love her stories, but I think that her artwork is what really makes her famous. If you look close, you can see all of the details. She's got detail in the border around here. There's detail even on the gingerbread man or the gingerbread baby, and even in the background. Jan Brett's Gingerbread Baby. Jan Brett, Gingerbread Baby. What season is it? Is it summer, winter, fall, or spring? It is winter. Gingerbread Baby. Okay, here's the end paper. We see a cutout of a gingerbread with a little boy looking out the window, and a gingerbread cookie in a bowl, and a rolling pin and a spoon. This is where we're going to start. Sorry about that. Okay. It was cold outside. It was warm inside. A fine day for gingerbread, Maddie thought. Maddie's mother put the big blue bowl on the table and lit the stove. Maddie took down a worn-looking cookbook with old-fashioned writing on the cover. He opened it up to the page that said, Gingerbread Boy. Let me see the book right there. They measured and mixed. Maddie rolled the dough into the shape of a gingerbread boy, and they popped him in the oven. Bake a full 8 minutes. No more, no less. Do not peek, the recipe read. Maddie listened to the clock. Tick, tock, tick. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3, 4, 5. Maddie couldn't wait any longer. He opened the oven door to take a peek. Instead of a gingerbread boy, out jumped a gingerbread baby. He pranced around the big blue bowl. I am the gingerbread baby, fresh from the pan. If you want me, catch me if you can. Maddie's mother reached for the gingerbread baby to put him back in the oven, but he ran all around the kitchen. The door opened and in came Maddie's father. What's that delicious smell? He asked as the gingerbread baby tumbled through his legs and outside into the yard. Oh my goodness, look at Maddie's parents. Uh-oh. The bowl broke, and it looks like Mom was trying to catch him with a pan. He ran by the tabby cat. She twitched her tail and sprang at him. They rumbled and tumbled, but the gingerbread baby came out on top. He ran toward the garden wall. The dog caught a whiff of tasty ginger and sniffed along behind him. But the gingerbread baby was halfway up when the dog caught up. He barked and barked as the gingerbread baby climbed over the wall. Maddie was still inside. He heard his mother and father yelling. He heard a cat meowing and a dog barking. And he heard the gingerbread baby shouting, Catch me if you can. Maddie opened up the worn-looking cookbook for the second time. Meanwhile, the gingerbread baby wheeled on down the path and into the barn. The goats looked up as he somersaulted across their backs. The last one tried to catch him, but the gingerbread baby was just too fast. Martha and Madeline were standing by the well when the gingerbread baby stopped to take a drink. They looked at each other and winked. Martha started to talk to him while Madeline tiptoed behind him with the bucket, but they couldn't fool that gingerbread baby. So here we see Maddie. Looks like he's up to something. It's Maddie again, rolling something out. He took a braid from Martha and a braid from Madeline and tied them in a knot and ran down the road. Back in the house, Maddie stirred, mixed, and rolled the dough. He shaped it, put it in the pan and into the oven. Tick, tock, tick. 8 long minutes. This time, he didn't peek. I will catch him if I can, Maddie said to himself. Friends, what do you think Maddie is making? Let's keep reading. As he was bouncing along, the gingerbread baby saw a farm wagon just ahead. He jumped in and settled down for the ride next to the mama pig. The smell of gingerbread was too much for her. She tossed him high in the air, closed her eyes, and opened her mouth. But the gingerbread baby twisted in the air and came down hard on her porky snout. I am the gingerbread baby, too quick for the mother and father, too fast for the cat, the dog, the goats, too clever for Martha and Madeline, too smart for the mama pig. Who's left? Catch me if you can. It's a very confident baby. Feeling smug, the gingerbread baby strolled along by himself until he came to a bridge that crossed over to the village. Just as he got to the middle, he heard running feet behind him and a crowd of villagers ahead of him. The gingerbread baby was trapped. He jumped up into the railing, backflipped through the air, and landed on a chunk of ice floating down the river. Right there. And we see Maddie. Maddie is still up to something. The ice bobbed along with the gingerbread baby, dancing on top and singing in a loud voice. Look at me, and what do you see? The best gingerbread baby ever. Until his feet got cold and he jumped ashore. See him in the river. Who was that watching from the trees? It was the fox. He crept up behind the gingerbread baby, ready to eat him up. But the fox couldn't help himself, and he licked his chops. Smack, smack. The gingerbread baby heard him and ran as fast as he could. Just when the fox was catching up, the gingerbread baby saw the milk and cheese man with his can of milk. The perfect hiding spot, he thought. He lifted the lid and lowered himself inside. He was so pleased that he ran at the top of his gingerbread voice. Ha ha, hee hee. You'll never find me. I'm the gingerbread baby. Catch me if you can. The milk and cheese man heard the gingerbread baby's voice. Who is meddling with my milk? He shouted and lifted the lid. But the gingerbread baby was ready. He jumped up and tweaked his nose. So he pinched his nose and twisted it. Now the milk and the cheese man, the fox, the villagers, the mama pig, Martha and Madeline, the bleating goats, the barking dog, the meowing cat, the father and the mother were all after the gingerbread baby and getting closer. And he knew it. The brash baby was not as peppy and proud as he had been. He sniffed a familiar smell and followed his nose into the woods. He couldn't believe what he saw. There, in the middle of a clearing, was a gingerbread house, frosted with sugar, covered with candy, and doors with peppermint handles wide open. The gingerbread baby clapped his hands with glee and ran inside. We see Maddie. Why is Maddie hiding behind a tree? In a tick-tock-tick, everyone arrived in the clearing, but all they found were a few bits of frosting, a peppermint candy, and some crumbs. The father exclaimed, "The gingerbread baby has finally met his match." "I wonder who it was," the mother said. "Let's go home and tell Maddie." So what do you think happened, boys and girls? He just disappeared. "Well, hello, Maddie," his father said. When they got home, "We never did catch that gingerbread baby. All we found were some crumbs in the snow." "I see you have been busy," his mother said, looking at the gingerbread house Maddie was holding. "Too bad we never caught that gingerbread baby." "Too bad," said Maddie. Only Maddie could hear the tiny voice from inside the gingerbread house. "I'm the little gingerbread baby, lucky as can be, to be living in the house that Maddie made for me." Boys and girls, isn't that a fun gingerbread story? So there are some similarities between this Gingerbread Baby book and the other two books we've read. Yep, someone makes a gingerbread cookie, and it runs away. They all chase after him, and they all want to eat him. But there are some differences. We have different characters. The character that made the gingerbread baby is different in this story than the other two stories. Maddie, a little boy, is the one who made this gingerbread baby. And think about the outcome of this story. Does this story end like the others? No, it has a fox. That's true. But this gingerbread baby ends up finding something that he loves, and he is able to live in it. What did he find in the woods? He made a gingerbread house. He found a gingerbread house that Maddie made for him. Boys and girls, does anybody else in this story know that the gingerbread baby is still alive besides Maddie? No. In the story, it said, only Maddie knows. What do you think his family would do if they knew that the gingerbread baby was in the house? I love eating gingerbread, so if there was a gingerbread baby at my house, it would definitely be hard not to eat it. I hope you enjoyed this version of the Gingerbread Baby by Jan Brett, and I hope you loved the illustrations just as much as I did. Have a great day.